What's up, friend? Today I'm gonna explore Succession Sorceress. I'll go over skill rotations for PvE and PvP, add-ons, skill builds and cancels. So let's start from the very beginning. I think the most asked question right now is, what's better, Succession or Awakening? Well, after a couple of weeks of testing, I think it's safe to say that overall, Succession is better in everything beside 1v1. Keep in mind that this doesn't mean that Awakening is suddenly bad. I still think that Awakening Sorc is not only viable but likely still broken, and for me definitely more fun. If you're a boomer and you want to keep playing Awakening and you want to keep using your site, feel free to do so. One of the best aspects of Succession is how easier and better the PvE is. Not only we are about 20% faster in the grind, but it's also much easier than before. Grinding with the site could get really tedious, but now it's chill. I mainly use this skill rotation. I start by pulling with either Bloody Calamari, Dream of Doom either hardcast or instacast depending on where you're grinding to not CC the mobs the wrong way, or Mark of the Shadow. Then I use a Crow Flare to get the cast speed buff, then we use Midnight Stinger, Absolute Darkness, Shadow Eruption, Crow Flare into Big Kick for the evasion debuff and an extra chance of getting the cast speed self buff, then press C to cast TBS and Violation, end the Violation with a Dark Flame, reposition with an iframe, and spam Black Wave and cancel it with F to finish the mobs. Now for PvP combos, well, there's not too much to say really. You're not necessarily gonna be comboing that much compared to Awakening. If you watch my combo video, that pretty much teaches you how to build your own combo. And I guess just a few tips that I can give is that now that we don't have Violation or Dead Hunt KD anymore, I usually land my second CC as a KD, of course, as always, as either Darkness Released, one of the most reliable KDs as always, or you can do a quick ultimate Shadow Eruption by using Crow Flare. So those are two really nice KDs. And honestly, I mean, maybe it's because of my AP, well, okay, not maybe this AP, but maybe because of my AP, I've not been really comboing much. But if people do want to see some kind of in-depth Succession combo guide, we don't really do anything different than before. The concept is all the same. We land the first CC, filler damage, KD, filler damage, into down smash, into finisher. As down smash, I suppose, instead of having the Blade of Darkness, what I've been doing is a part of the old pre-awakening down smash combo. So when the opponent is on the ground, knocked down, you go for a Midnight Stinger into Crow Flare Big Kick, low kick, backwards Darkness Release. So this is 2-time down smash. It looks like this. The last two are down smash, and then you blast with Black Wave. All of those hits are also a down smash. Or you can simply just Black Wave whenever you land a KD. Remember that now our PvP, our 1v1 specifically, but in general the playstyle is not the same as it used to be. We are not spamming iframes and waiting and lingering our frontal block and iframing and lingering. Now what we want is a more aggressive, more proactive playstyle where we rotate, you see these cooldowns here, aggressively. And we try to pressure our opponent. I'm still exploring the new PvP playstyle myself. I will definitely upload some PvP video, but if you want to see some, just come directly to my stream, or there's plenty of other good Sorc streamers like Mech or Slim. Tune into them to see how you should be playing the class now. Sorc, of course, it's not the most, it's not always the easiest class to solve, and I do think it's gonna take some time before people properly figure out how to play the class at its best. I do know that Awakening Sorc took actually quite a long time before people completely solved the class. So I look forward to see how the playstyle evolves with time. Alright, let's talk about the new cancels that we have with Succession. There's actually quite a few. I'm gonna pretty much just explore the main new ones and the most useful ones. I'll try to go in order with some kind of logic. So the Crow Flare cancels, we have 3 main Crow Flare cancels. We have the ultimate Shadow Eruption cancel, so we cast Crow Flare into it, left mouse button, and casts ultimate Shadow Eruption, which is a knockdown, super strong. Then we have Crow Flare into TBS, so we just have to press C after Crowflare. Of course, if you kept C pressed, you're gonna go into violation. This is decent for PvE specifically. You don't want to do all of those unprotected skills in PvP. And then a pretty interesting one is Crowflare into Bloody Calamari. So just spacebar after Crowflare, casts it, and we blast. So there's actually some few skills that change into TBS after you use them by just pressing C. One is Midnight Stinger, which of course doesn't work for me because I don't have the Succession Midnight Stinger. But trust me, if you had Succession Midnight Stinger, that would work. So just Stinger into C. It casts instantly TBS. Then the Rushing Crow cancels. We have Dark Flame out of Rushing Crow, which makes the skill frontal, pretty much fully protected. It goes from super armor into frontal. Then we have Bloody Calamari as well after Rushing Crow. Just by pressing spacebar, this also makes the skill fully protected. And then we have the violation. So simply violate. So WRMB for Crowflare into violation, which of course if violation is off cooldown is gonna be fully protected as well. Because keep in mind, Rushing Crow is unprotected at the end. The animation at the end is unprotected. So with these three cancels, you'll be able to go fully protected. Really cool new cancel that we got is the Ista DoD after Storming Crow. So all you need to do is press Shift E in a Storming Crow, and it casts the Dream of Doom. The Ista Dream of Doom, of course, it's not protected. The SA from Storming Crow does not linger. And the same cancel also applies to Dark Backstep, but I do not recommend getting Dark Backstep. I think it's a trash skill. It fucks up with a lot of cancels and a lot of skills. I just do not recommend getting it. Now there's two pretty neat Black Wave cancels. So the first one is just pressing F to make the skill explode, and you can do it at any point really. It's a decent chunk of extra damage. The second one is casting Ultimate Shadow Eruption by pressing WLMB. It's a bit trickier at the start, but when you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. You pretty much let go of the right mouse button and you just go from S to W. And the last cancel I want to show you today is Abyssal Flame, best skill in our kit, into Abyssal Flame. Yes, this skill cancels with itself. So of course everyone knows that Abyssal Flame can be fully casted by just iframing any direction, and it does the trick. There's two very interesting cancels that you can do with it. Cancel number one that saves you a lot of stamina, because as you can see this drains the stamina quite a bit. So a way to not use stamina is actually by using Thermic Slash. So by doing this, you cast a fully charged Abyssal Flame every single time without draining your stamina. This is pretty neat in Node War, and RBF got me quite a lot of kills, but it's also handy in PvE. And another interesting cancel from the skill is fully charging it into casting it again right away. This does a double full cast, or the first one is also a knockdown. And just two Dark Flame cancels with that work with the Awakening skills. One is, and they all work by pressing C at different times. So if you press C, you're gonna be casting Thermic Slash. Hey, post-production in Heedun here. I forgot about two cancels real quick. One is Absolute Darkness into Shadow Eruption, and the other one is Rushing Crow into Shadow Eruption. Alright, now for the add-ons, I think these are pretty much the best, at least for me. I fiddle a bit with them for almost a month now, and these seem to be the most solid ones. I like them. Do let me know what you're running with, because I do love freaky add-ons. Crowflare, casting speed +4 and casting speed -7. Remember that add-ons only work when you actually hit someone, not when you just cast the spell. So it's not like we cast Crowflare and we suddenly get the casting speed +4, or we magically debuff someone from afar. so we need to be hitting the person to get the cast speed buff. The only one I would not be 100% sure about is the +4 cast speed. I was running with +10 full defense, and I'm switching now to cast speed just to see how it feels. Might go back to +10 defense, not sure yet, but for now +4 is just overall good for both PvE and PvP. -7 casting speed debuff for the, of course, casting speed matchups, especially the Witcher matchup becomes a lot easier with this one because it does stuck with the debuff that Crowflare naturally applies. Then we have Shadow Eruption, PvP and cast speed. The cast speed add-on is one of the best we can get. We use Shadow Eruption, of course, both in PvE and PvP. 10% for 5 seconds is actually quite big. You could change the PvP. If you're not much into PvP, you could change it with the attack monster or accuracy, but I'd keep the cast speed for sure. Oh, and for people asking about DOT add-ons, I am personally not a fan. I used to run DOT add-ons years ago, and they were not much damage when people had half the health and potions were ticking 3 times as lower. So I don't see DOT add-ons working now with people running 5k HP and 2-second potions. So personally not a fan, but feel free to run it if you like to do something freaky. As I said earlier, Dream of Doom, we do not need mana regen on Dream of Doom anymore because we do have quite a lot of self-sustain with mana. And I run PvP attack and accuracy. You could switch the PvP attack to monster if you are more into PvE. And the casting speed, it could be an interesting change compared to accuracy. I guess it's preference. I do think there's no such thing as enough accuracy. I am running a pen RC and there's still people that evade plenty. Not as much now that the succession is out, but I think we are gonna see an increase in tankiness soon. Abyssal Flame, probably the most broken skill right now in our kit. I'm running extra accuracy and critical hit rate. This is pretty much just extra damage. All the other add-ons are just kind of underwhelming. -7 movement speed is not that much really. And the 10% crit hit rate does stack with Midnight Stinger. Of course it does not stack with Absolute Darkness, because add-ons don't stack with each other. Just like skills don't stack with each other, skill buffs don't stack with each other. You're not gonna always keep up in PvP the Absolute Darkness buff. So I do think that 10% is not as good as 30, but is decent. It's quite decent. Absolute Darkness, the classic, casting speed and crit. I mean, this is pretty much a staple. If you're not running critical hit rate on this bad boy, you're doing something wrong with your life. Alternatively, you can get accuracy instead of cast speed, but I do feel like this is the best combo. And I'm using Violation, accuracy and extra monster damage. This is pretty much just a PvE add-on because we kind of run out of good skills to put add-ons on. And I think it's still a decent one. And Violation always had accuracy issues. Alright, so this is the skill builds. I'm gonna go over 2 mainly. One is gonna be the entry-level PvE one, and the other is gonna be the entry-level PvP one, which of course is gonna require more points. The entry-level PvE one, I'm gonna leave, of course, both the links in the description of these 2 skill builds, so you can just copy them. There's not much to say here on the pre-awakening skill tree. The only thing that you really need is Absolute Darkness, super important for the crit buff. Crowflare maxed out. I mean, every single succession skill beside Close of Darkness and the Shadow Eruptions are gonna be maxed out so that you can get the succession version. We are gonna, of course, try to aim at getting almost everything in this tree. It's quite cheap. I mean, it's at 1,100 skill points, and we are gonna skip on Close of Darkness, one of the most useless skills, and I'll keep Shadow Eruption on only 1 level. I don't think early on you need more. You're gonna mainly use this as casting speed buff. I think the build is pretty self-explanatory. I don't think there's need to be too much of an explanation to this. If you have any question about it, feel free to ask either on stream or in the comments. I'll move to the PvP build. Of course, this is an entry-level PvP build, so we're not gonna take everything, but we do need some stuff. So I'm gonna try to aim at around 1.6 skill points. So 100% absolute darkness. It's darkness, absolute darkness released. It's one of the best KDs we have. You want to add rebounding darkness for escape maneuvers. You 100% need the shift Q self buff, super important. Skipping on all of this stuff. As I said, this is just entry level PvP build. Dark Shade, super important. Absolute scattering shadow, why not? Big kick, super important. Big kick, it's super broken in succession. Of course, we want the extra HP, super important for PvP. We max Shadow Eruption. As you can see, I leave out Midnight Stinger. I don't like Prime Midnight Stinger. I've played about a week with it and I was just not really happy. It does not make too much of a difference in PvE, but in PvP, I think it's too debilitating. Ultimate Shadow Eruption, of course, and we are at 1.4 here. Damn, like making this skill tree really, really makes me realize how cheap it is compared to Awakening. It's ridiculous, really. It's good. I mean, it's you don't need to grind your entire life to actually get to play your class. So that's good, of course. I just feel like a boomer. That's it. I'd definitely add the passives. Of course, not the 63 one. You're probably not level 63 if you have 1.5 skill points. And we are at about 1.5. So this is pretty much what you need to start doing proper PvP on Succession. And after this, I mean, there's not much left really, but you just take everything else that's left. The Signs of Agony. Don't really need Flows of Darkness. Flow of Darkness for the extra evasion. Absolute Darkness for extra damage while grinding. But that's pretty much it for the skill build. I'll try to record the Node War and upload it as soon as I have some good footage. If you like this video, well, I appreciate it. Kisses!